when people are trying to sell them. Could you elaborate a little bit for our listeners?
Sure. Well, to understand our issues with life contingent transactions, you have to understand that every structured settlement purchasing company
education
borrows
series
money
on the
in
primary
order
and secondary
to fund
structured settlement market.
transactions.
I've got a special guest today.
We go to
My guest is Trish Laborde, who is the Senior Vice President of Division
source
Counsel
of
at Stone Street
with,
Capital and the President-elect of the National Association of Settlement Purchasers.
What happens
Hello, Trish. How are you doing today?
Cost of funds is the
Excellent.
Floor for how,
well, I
for,
understand that you're doing
an
interesting presentation at the upcoming annual meeting of the National Association of Settlement Purchasers on life contingent structured settlement payments and the difficulties and problems with pricing out those types of cash flows when people are trying to sell them. Could you elaborate a little bit for our listeners?
Sure. They are riskier for both us. To understand our issues with life contingent transactions, you have to understand that every structured settlement purchasing company
does that risk mean that you go out and buy a life insurance policy?
We go to well, there's two ways to do it. You either go out or you buy a life insurance policy, and you can, if you ever looked at a structured settlement transaction, and generally those are pretty clear. What happens is that floor, there'll actually be a deduction in the floor for a life insurance policy transaction. For reasons not related to our industry, it's getting tougher to find insurance companies willing to sell life insurance under these circumstances on every transaction. So the other option is to not hedge, since we will not get the payments upon the death of the annuitant. They are riskier, ascribe some kind of value to the investor, additional risk. We have to do something by buying life contingent transactions. Hedge against that risk.
Does that risk mean that you go out and buy a life insurance policy?
So what you'll see in those transactions, well, there's two ways to do it. You either go out and you buy a life insurance policy, individual selling. If you ever looked at a structured settlement transaction, going to be lower. Those are pretty clear on the disclosure statement. There'll actually be a deduction in the expense section for a life insurance rate that we are borrowing money for reasons not related to our industry. It's getting tougher to find insurance companies willing to sell life insurance assessed to the under these circumstances.
How do factoring companies assess the mortality risk? Do they go out and hire their own medical underwriters or hire actuaries? What type of process do they go through, just in general terms?
To the additional we hire. We actually work with actuaries, and the way you determine risk is to the rates go up. Look at the pool that what you'll see in those transactions that the rate for pulled together. 20-year-old healthy. Look at an individual, and they do underwrite them. They look at their medical history, their criminal history, which actually a 60-year-old smoker who had a heart attack. Prescription drugs are on your age. Rate that we are borrowing various factors. We're trying to capture that risk is a life expectancy is assessed. Even if with the life expectancy for the individual is
how do factoring companies assess the mortality risk? Do they go out and hire their own medical underwriters or hire actuaries? What type of process do they go through, just in general terms?
We hire. We actually work with guaranteed actuaries who determine.
Right. So the preference is for the guaranteed payments. Have factoring companies or settlement funding companies have they always purchased life contingent payments, or is that some more of a recent phenomenon?
We always have, but it's expanding quite a bit. Prescription drugs are on your age. Largely consumer demand. It's really a good estate planning tool. If you are an individual, we see this quite a bit. Individuals who have, even if with the life expectancy for the individual, that's a potential 40 years. We always recognize that they have some level of additional risk to pay, and they're concerned about pass away. Estate planning. What happens to me if I die and my family does not have 20-year-old is going to get a higher rate? Some sellers who just come to us strictly to turn that potential cash into
so the preference is for the guaranteed payments
to pay off their mortgage.
Have factoring companies or settlement funding companies have they always purchased life contingent payments, or is that some more of a recent phenomenon? Great. Well, that's an excellent answer.
We always have, but
do you have
any
further thoughts, just in terms of wrapping this up? Any further thoughts that you think might be helpful for our viewers and listeners?
If you are an individual,
life contingent
we see this quite a bit.
We don't want to give away your full speech for the NAS meeting, but do you have any further thoughts that think might be useful, at least to give people a taste of what's to come?
Yeah, well, what we're going to be talking about quite a bit in the estate planning. What happens to me if I die? And my family does not have going into the details about the rate. We do get some the rate that we do sellers that is assessed to the annuitant strictly that the person lives the turn the potential cash into. If we have an unhedged transaction, if the seller dies before we pay off their mortgage or the company else, and we're seeing the consumer demand greater amount of money people understand our product. So there is a substantial risk.
Great. Well, that's an excellent answer.
That we do incur.
Do you have any further thoughts just in terms of wrapping this up? Any further thoughts that you think might be helpful for our viewers and listeners regarding life contingent structured settlement payments? We don't want to give away your full speech.